This video will demonstrate how to install a Multiplex Model 2803 Soda Factory and Lancer Unicorn Tower on a custom Delfield cabinet. This is a simple diagram of the equipment installation. Begin by uncrating the Soda Factory. Remove the top and side panels to gain access to the carbonator and circulator motors. Remove the motor covers by loosening the two mounting screws. The cover may be removed without totally removing either screw. Verify the white wire is connected to terminal 2 as shown on the left motor in this picture. If the white wire is on terminal 4 as shown on the right motor, it must be moved to terminal 2. Service Bulletin MPX 156 addresses this wiring issue. Replace both motor covers and tighten the screws securely. Reinstall the side panel. Install the drain hose to the nipple underneath the Soda Factory. Slide the mounting bracket over the hose and secure the bracket to the bottom of the Soda Factory with the 2 hex head screws supplied in the accessory kit. Locate the ice bank probe mounting bracket. Confirm the ice bank probe is mounted securely to the ice bank probe mounting bracket with 3 zip ties. Confirm the ice bank probe bracket is securely mounted between the first and second evaporator coils. Fill the water bath of the Soda Factory with water until the water level is just above the top evaporator coil. Plug in the power cord for the Soda Factory. Turn on the compressor agitator switch to begin chilling the water. Disconnect the root beer tank by first removing the end disconnect. Pull up on the split ring on the lid to relieve pressure in the tank. Finally, remove the out disconnect from the tank. Turn off the CO2 supply to the dispensing system. This is a convenient way to leak check the system. If the needle on the high pressure gauge begins to drop, there's a leak. Warning: carbon dioxide or CO2 displaces oxygen. Exposure to a high concentration of CO2 gas causes tremors, which are followed rapidly by loss of consciousness and suffocation. If a CO2 gas leak is suspected, particularly in a small area, immediately ventilate the area before repairing the leak. CO2 lines and pumps that use CO2 must not be installed in an enclosed space. An enclosed space may be a cooler or small room or closet. This may include convenience stores with self-serve coolers. If you suspect CO2 may build up in an area, venting of the BIB pumps and/or CO2 monitors must be used. Turn off the water supply to the Soda Factory. Install T-fittings in the water, CO2, and root beer syrup lines in a convenient location inside the cabinet. Install shutoff valves in the water, CO2, and root beer syrup lines that feed into the Soda Factory. Place each valve in the off position. Turn on the water and CO2 to the drink system. Connect the out disconnect onto the out post on the root beer tank. It's a good idea to rinse the disconnect with a cup of warm water before connecting it. After the out disconnect is connected, connect the in disconnect. Rinse this disconnect in the cup of water too. Route the lines from the Unicorn Tower through the hole in the counter. Slide the white spacer onto the threaded nipple from underneath the counter. Install the gray lock nut onto the threaded nipple and tighten firmly. If it is necessary to remove the insulation from around the lines that go into the tower, keep the insulation so that it may be used later to insulate the lines. Use channel locks to make sure the lock nut is tight and the tower is securely mounted to the countertop. Locate the junction box with the soda and syrup flow controls. If the 1/4-inch barbed Y divider is installed, remove it and replace with a 3/8 by 3/8 U-bend fitting with a 1/4-inch barbed stem. Install 2 John Guest elbow fittings into the circulating loop near the U-bend fitting. These elbow fittings will connect later to the lines that circulate carbonated water through the tower to maintain temperature. Make sure to install the proper size Oetiker clamp and tighten it securely with the correct crimp tool. Make sure to firmly push the tubing into the John Guest fittings until it stops and locks into place. Give an extra push just to make sure the tubing is as far into the John Guest fitting as possible. Use a 3/8 by 1/4-inch barbed reducer to bring the syrup line from 3/8 ID tubing to 1/4-inch ID tubing. Connect the 1/4 inch ID tubing to the 1/4 inch barbed inlet at the junction box. Connect the black and white wires from the junction box to the transformer that is shipped with the Unicorn tower. Tighten the 2 screws on the transformer to secure the wires. Plug the transformer into the wall socket below the power cord from the soda factory. Insulate the tubing between the soda factory and junction box and between the junction box and the tower with foam insulation. Do not insulate over the John Guest or U-bend fittings at this time. It's important to leave these open to check for leaks when the equipment is started. Slide the junction box into the bracket mounted inside the cabinet. Make sure all 3 inline shutoff valves remain in the off position. Connect syrup coils 1 and 2 to double chill the root beer syrup. Use 2 of the John Guest fittings in the bag of fittings shipped with the soda factory. Connect with a short piece of 3/8 ID tubing and secure with 2 Oetiker clamps from the same bag of fittings. Always make sure both clamps are installed on the line before pushing the tubing onto the barbed fittings. Route the syrup in line to the number 1 syrup coil. Route the CO2 line to the single check valve on top of the carbonator tank. Route the water in line to the brass carbonator pump. Secure all lines with the correct Oetiker clamp. The incoming water, syrup, and CO2 lines should be routed through the left-hand opening in the soda factory. Use the right opening for the cold root beer syrup line and the 2 circulating soda lines. Connect the soda return line to the T on top of the carbonator tank. Connect the syrup out tubing to a John Guest fitting and push the John Guest fitting into the elbow on coil number 2. Connect the soda outline to the barbed fittings from the coil connected at the other end to the circulating pump. I recommend using a 3/8 barbed 90-degree elbow as shown to allow a more direct connection. Secure all lines with the proper Oetiker clamp. Open the shutoff valves located near the soda factory for water and CO2. Turn on the switch for the carbonator and circulator. Check all fittings for leaks. Open the Unicorn tap and pour water until the carbonator cycles a minimum of 4 times. Make sure there is carbonation pouring from the tap. Open the shutoff valve located near the soda factory for the root beer syrup. Check all fittings for leaks. Open the Unicorn tap until root beer syrup flows smoothly with the carbonated water out of the tap. Use a refractometer to measure the sugar content of the root beer. A&W specifications state 13 degrees is the optimum setting. Adjustments may be made to the syrup and soda at the flow controls mounted inside the junction box. If there are no leaks, insulate the remaining cold soda and syrup tubing and connections. Make sure all gaps are sealed so no warm air can get to the tubing and take efficiency away from the circulating loop. Double check to make sure all the lines from the soda factory to the junction box and tap are well insulated with no air gaps. It's a good idea to use refrigeration tape to seal the foam insulation around the lines. Verify that the insulation at the soda factory goes inside the cabinet by approximately 1 inch for optimal temperature retention. Bundle the incoming syrup, water, and CO2 lines neatly with zip ties. Make sure the shutoff valves are accessed easily when service is necessary. Make sure the installation is as neat as possible. Remove the condenser filter bracket to access the filter. Poke a hole in the filter and attach a zip tie so the filter may be easily pulled out of the bracket when it's necessary to clean the filter. Mount the bracket with the opening facing toward the front of the cabinet for easier access to the filter. Make sure all the protective paper is removed from the soda factory. Roll the soda factory into place inside the cabinet. Clean up the surrounding area and properly dispose of all trash.